Hello everyone, Taboo Conspiracy here with another pair of flat earth proofs, this time in the form of a single image. It comes to us from YouTuber Rotaflight, who sent a high altitude balloon all the way up towards the firmament, showing the Earth to be a level plane. Just look at that flat horizon. But the real proof is the hotspot. As we all know from the basics of lighting, the only way you can get a hotspot is if the light source were local. On the left, we see the flat Earth, with a local sun producing a hotspot on the surface. On the right is what we should see if the Earth were a spinning ball, with the sun a ridiculous 93 million miles away. Hotspots, along with flat horizons, prove we cannot live on a globe. Flat Earth is a demonstrable fact. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for watching. Just kidding. Ben, if you're watching, I'm very fond of your channel, Taboo Conspiracy, and I love your enthusiasm, and I hope you take this gentle ribbing in the playful spirit in which it was intended. But let's examine both these claims with a bit of critical thinking, specifically research and analysis, leading to an evaluation. Does this evidence really support our claim? Is this image the only view of the horizon? Is there any lens distortion? What does the rest of the footage show? So let's start by examining the distorting effects of many wide-angle lenses, such as the barrel distortion shown here. Here's a simulated photo of graph paper. Even though the entire image appears distorted, it turns out that any line passing directly through the center of the frame will be true. You can draw a red X to identify the center of the frame, and you'll discover that these lines are completely undistorted. Walter Bislin has a very nice app, linked in the description, which allows you to play with various lens distortions and see what happens center frame versus elsewhere, and also the effects on lines and curves. So let's start with a straight line and strong barrel distortion, and then use the Y slider to move it up and down. Here are 3 examples, showing us that the line becomes concave down when above the center of the frame, undistorted center frame, and concave up below the center. But what happens when our original image is curved, such as the curved horizon expected from a globe Earth seen from high altitude? Again, it's concave down when above the frame, and it's undistorted when it crosses center frame, but when below center frame, the curve can be seen to straighten out. Thus, when dealing with barrel distortion, identify the exact center of the frame and you can get a sense of the true shape of the image only when it crosses that point. So in our original image, we see if we mark center frame, we might anticipate if it's a Gopro wide-angle lens that there might be distortion in a concave up orientation, since the horizon is below center frame. So the question is, what does the rest of the footage show? Let's go to the source and cue it up to 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 19 seconds. What do we see 2 seconds later? Clearly distorted and above the center frame. Thus, we'd expect concave down distortion. But what about 2 seconds earlier? Bingo. We could see the true shape of the horizon when it crosses center frame. Thus, the original claim of a flat horizon was a classic case of cherry picking. Let's turn to the second claim. Is that really a hotspot? Or is there another way of getting that shiny reflection? So here's a woman getting a little sun. She's got a hotspot on her cheek, but no hotspot to the left or the right. But you might say her cheek is actually closer to the sun. But what about her forehead lacking a hotspot? Remember, if the Earth were flat, the flat Earth sun is thousands of miles away. So a matter of fractions of an inch won't matter. So this means it isn't a hotspot. It's just more of a question of reflectivity and the relative angle of the surface with respect to the camera and the light source. This is called a specular highlight in photography. This one image illustrates these concepts nicely. The painting on the far wall is illuminated by a single light source, and the oval shown here shows the border of the lighting. So why is part of the wall dark and the other part bright? It's purely a function of distance using the inverse square law. Thus, the hotspot on the wall due to proximity with the light source. In contrast, we have this specular highlight on the desk, which is a function of angle and reflectivity. But let's say this is a hotspot due to a local sun. Flat Earth folks claim that hotspots prove a local sun because a hotspot is caused by proximity. This means the sun is directly overhead of that location. So where is this footage taken? So let's zoom into the landforms that we can recognize and change the contrast and color a bit. And we'll draw in some shapes around some distinctive regions and try to match them to reality. Where is this? It turns out the red pin, which is closest to the hotspot, is the Norwegian town of Titran at almost 64 degrees north latitude. Interestingly, we're facing just north of due west, so we'll drop this location into SunCalc with the correct date of July 24th, 2014, and with an approximate sun angle just north of due west. Everything seems to be pretty reasonable for a very rough estimate of 7:42 in the evening. But here's the key question. Has the sun ever been directly above Norway? SunCalc gives us the Greenwich hour angle of 83 degrees west and a declination of about 20 degrees. This translates roughly to 20 degrees north latitude and 83 degrees west longitude, not far from the Cayman Islands, where the sun can be seen directly overhead at that time of the year. The effect on the ground is called Lahaina noon, where the sun is directly at zenith. The images are so striking, they look photoshopped, and objects are seemingly not casting any shadows, because the sun is directly overhead. I think the good people of Norway would notice if this ever happened. But in reality, Lahaina noon is only possible between the tropics. And being that most of the world's amateur high-altitude balloons have been launched from either the US or Europe, all of these hotspot claims are rather silly. New York, California, Germany, North Carolina. Remember, folks, critical thinking is the key. So if someone claims proof, treat it as evidence worthy of cross-examining. And special thanks to my channel supporters, Johnny Ragadoo and Luke Filewalker. Rest in peace, Jim Jackson. And always, as always, please be kind to each other in the comments. Bye.